School earrings, Amanda.
Oh, thank you. How do I know when we're live? Are we live?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. So I'd like to call to order the June 23rd, 2020 meeting of the City of West Palm Beach Historic Preservation Board. Can we please begin with a roll call?
I'm going to take the roll call for Hope for a minute here. Amanda Skyer.
Here.
Kristen Kellogg.
Here.
Dan Pickney.
Here.
Takara Chambers.
Here.
Gabriel Jaroslavsky.
Here.
Ken Breslauer.
Here.
Reginald Stembaugh.
Here.
Nick Casatley.
Here.
Great, thank you. That concludes roll call.
Okay, thank you. We now move on to approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do we have any changes to the agenda at a staff level?
Madam Chair, staff has been informed by one of the board members that they wish to pull the consent item off for some discussion.
Okay. So we have that one change. Are there any other changes by board members? Okay, can we have a motion to approve the modified agenda? So removing that one item from consent, which is case number 18-48C, 134 Grayman Drive.
I move to approve the agenda for tonight's Historic Preservation Board meeting with the one change as noted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to approval of the minutes from the May meeting. Do we have any changes to the minutes as presented? Okay, seeing none, can we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes for the May 26, 2020 Historic Preservation Board meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We now move on to the report of the Historic Preservation Planner.
Yes, good afternoon. Frederique Mettner, City Historic Preservation Planner. Since the board's last Zoom meeting, staff has conducted and completed 75 level 1 reviews and 16 zoning reviews, but no additional level 2s. And then also this month, it's exciting that we're going to be announcing the 2020 Preservation Award winners. And I would like to just go ahead and share my screen as the board chair and I jointly present that to the attendees. So we'll go ahead and ask that the moderator please start including our participants for this portion.
Do you want all of them, or do you want to do one at a time?
We can do one at a time. That would be great.
Okay. Yep. All right. Sounds good.
So each year, the City of West Palm Beach Historic Preservation Board reviews nominations for recognition in 4 categories. And the first category is rehabilitation, and it acknowledges the proper rehabilitation of a structure according to the Secretary Interior standards, and the project may include additions, interior renovations, or exterior improvements that respect the historic integrity of the structure. So in our rehabilitation category, we are very pleased to announce that Mr. Sam Fish is the recipient of the award for 257 Granada Road, the residential rehabilitation. And Sam, I'm not sure if you've been, if you've joined us out of the waiting room, but
on but muted and turned off his video.
Okay. Well,
Hopefully you didn't walk away.
That's right.
Oh, there we go.
We're very excited to announce that you are the rehabilitation winner for 2020. This is the plaque.
Awesome.
I will be bringing to you. It was a board selection for your excellent work at 257 Granada Road. Here are just some before pictures. and then very few after pictures as a teaser for you to take a look at it because the property is on the market. So if anyone's interested, but as you can see, Mr. Fish retained the beautiful ceiling in the living room, the fireplace, the wood windows in the stairwell, as well as the front facade windows and some of the original tile work. So even though the board doesn't have the purview on the interior, this is some wonderful elements that were preserved. So congratulations,
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Amanda.
Congratulations. And this is the wonderful certificate you're also going to
Perfect. I have a nice big framed place on my wall for it.
But I think that we would love to see more property owners preserve at least the primary facade windows, you know, the primary elevation windows that face the street. So we really appreciate you working with us. We know that wasn't easy to get them in working order and to find the right person to do it. So we appreciate you working with us and continually checking in with us throughout the project. That's ideal when you're taking on restoration or rehabilitation of this size. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. No, for sure.
Congratulations. And we also have one more winner in this category this year. We have an honorable mention for 2411 South Olive Avenue. This residential rehabilitation project is also in El Cid. And even though there weren't substantial changes to the exterior, this couple, instead of demolishing a non-contributing structure, worked with the elements and the mid-century modern components. And Erin was the staff person on that and did a lot of work with them. And so as a thank you for their great work, we have Pioneers in Paradise book for them as a thank you for saving a non-contributing home and working with its historic time frame. And Chris and Christine, I think you are on the line.
Yep, sorry, I just brought him in. Didn't know you were moving on. So.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Should I repeat?
They should have been able to hear it. Okay, there you just came on.
Chris and Christina, thank you so much for your excellent work on 2411 South Olive Avenue.
Thank you. Hey, here we are. Sorry about that.
And we get the interior view of it.
Yes,
I know, I was just going to say, lucky us.
We might as well call from the house. So, yeah, no, thank you so much for the recognition for the house. We put in a lot of work. Christina and I, as Erin and Frederick know, we were in front of you guys, about a year ago at this point now. So amazing how far we came, and obviously great timing considering everything going on. It's been nice to be in the house. So we're just happy to have contributed to the historic preservation of the house, though. So it was really fun to do it.
Excellent.
Well, congratulations. I want to present you with this certificate, which you will receive in person. And I was just having a conversation with someone today about how mid-century modern architectural styles are not always as appreciated as Mediterranean revival styles. It's not everyone is into modern, but it's certainly such an important piece of the development history of the town and of the city and of South Florida. Those were our two major building booms in the 20s and the 50s, 60s, because so many people were moving here. So we have so much of these styles, but sadly, so often you see the homes from that mid-century period are demolished. So really amazing that you've totally embraced it and it turned out really beautifully. So thank you so much. It's a great addition to El Cid. I live in the neighborhood, actually right down the street in another 50s house. So I admire your work and thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, no, great. Hopefully we'll see you around the neighborhood sometime. Thanks again.
Definitely.
Have a good one.
Great. Our next category is infill design. And infill design is described as, this award goes to acknowledging appropriate infill within historic districts that essentially fills in the gap of an historic streetscape. Infill should be compatible in massing, size, scale, and architectural features with the district. And this year's award recipient goes to 630 O Street. I believe we have the architectural team of Rafael Rodriguez and Rafael Saladriguez on the line, as well as the property owner, Jim Williams, and contractor Jeff Birkin of Bella Construction. And so this home is in Grandview Heights at 630 O Street, and just at the corner there. So its scale is relative to the lot there, and it had sat vacant for many, many years. And now we have a beautiful home that fronts O, but also has a lovely elevation facing Georgia, which is a very heavily trafficked thoroughfare in that neighborhood. So this is the scale of the Georgia side. So congratulations to that team on the infill award. And so you also get a plaque.
Congratulations.
Are you all on the line?
I can see them.
You can, okay. Good.
But yes, this was a really great project. It really fits in with the architectural styles found in this district, which are not found in all of the districts. So it's great that you found something that was appropriate and that the scale is also appropriate to the neighborhood. So thank you for the thought and the research that you put into historical precedents in designing this.
So you guys will have to unmute if you want to say something.
You're muted.
I can hear him.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Not on our end.
Can you hear me?
There you go. There you go.
Oh, hi, yeah. No, it's a great project. I'd like to thank the Williams family, who are a great client, and also Jeff from Bella Construction did an amazing job with the construction, following through all the details that really make these homes really beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thanks so much. It's a real honor.
Thank you.
Okay, and our next category is craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is the category that recognizes a traditional technique or method of construction that is considered artistic and rare in today's practices. This may include intricate woodworking, hand-turned wrought ironwork, hand carving of architectural elements, and the category is also suited to recognize the handyman who has appropriately repaired distinguishing features of a structure, whether it's wood windows or doors or other architectural elements. And so this year's award winner goes to the First Church of Christ Scientist Roof Project, and it's from Complete Roofing Solutions. George is, I think, on the line, and we have a couple members of that group as well. And what this project entailed is currently not fully designated, but it is on its path to being landmarked. And so what's exciting about this is that they went ahead, even before Complete Roofing Solutions Inc., in conjunction with First Church of Christ Scientists, knowing they were replacing the roof. They had the existing roof tile, and there was not an exact match. This is the old tile. And they had a color match made from Ludovici tile just outside of Chicago. And so you can see that they really, I know probably computer screens may be a little different, but it is an exact match. And so what you see on the screen is the new roof that will last hopefully at least another 100 years of what it looked like before. So congratulations to that team, the re-roof of First Church of Christ Scientists.
This is really an exciting project, and obviously it's thrilling to see this building finally on its way to being protected. And the roof is clearly one of the most character defining features of the building. And to have you go to that level of ensuring that you have an exact color match, and this is not an inexpensive tile. So the fact that you made this investment in the materials, I think, is really exemplary and such a gift to the community. So thank you for going above and beyond with this. And I'd like to present you with this certificate.
And that we should hopefully have Keith Sargent, Bianca Coe, George Jacobasi, and Michelle Saccone on the line for this project.
We just have George and Bianca.
Okay, Congratulations, George.
And it
and
looks like we have one other person. I think you're all muted though. If you'd like to say a
yep.
few words, you're welcome to.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to say this was a very exciting project for us, being part of the history of West Palm Beach and making our footprint in history in a town that we love so much. Preserving this church was it was a great honor for our company, and it was a big taking on. There was a lot that went into this project. I know this project was being thought of for probably over a year, and I had a great team helping me. I had the good team of Ludovici Tile, Mike Agostiglia. He was a big part of making this project come together. He worked hand in hand with us and the Church of Christ Scientists to make sure that we were able to not only get the same color, style, size of tile, but also make sure that from the ordering of the tile to the delivery of the tile to the installation of the tile, he was part of the project. And our company being down in Florida for the last 15 years, I feel that we've made our mark in West Palm Beach with this project. So thank you very much. It was a great honor.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, and our last category is
I think Ms. Poe would like to say something.
I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you so much for recognizing this project. It was indeed a labor of love. We appreciated Complete Roofing Solutions. And when we realized the increase in price for the materials, our needs were met by someone coming forward and taking that on. So we are very appreciative to our benefactor and for the recognition that the City of West Palm Beach is giving us. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful to know that someone stepped forward to make that possible. Thank you for sharing that.
And our final category is service, and this recognizes an organization or individual who has clearly made an impact on the community through advocacy or service in historic preservation. And this year's recipient is Susan Thomas. Susan, I hope you're on the line because you have been an amazing person in terms of getting our TDRs, our Transfer of Development Rights program, making it effective. You have matched the buyers with the sellers, and without you, we wouldn't have been able to preserve as many buildings downtown. And obviously, not only myself, but Ana Maria Ponte, who's here as well, really appreciates all your work.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Frederick, for giving me this opportunity. I really wanted to thank you, Susan, for her contribution to the city and especially to the downtown. With her help, the city has been able to promote the preservation of numerous buildings and provide the owners of these buildings with the resources needed to maintain and in some cases improve the valuable historic resources. Susan has very skillfully matched the TDR supply and demand and really make the TDR program a success. It has been really a private-public partnership, and we have really pleased and happy to have the opportunity to work with her in promoting the historic preservation in the city and especially the downtown area. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to work with you guys. That TDR program has worked wonderful, and I really appreciate all the work and all the help you've had when we've trying to put these together.
So it has been interesting and creative sometimes.
Yes, very. But thank you very much, and I very much appreciate it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for furthering the cause of preservation and helping us promote this incredibly valuable program. Not every community offers TDRs, and it's really something that I think sets West Palm Beach apart and creates an additional incentive for people to take on restoration projects and provide the funding for them. So thank you.
It's very important. I agree.
Thanks, Susan, for all your work.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that concludes this year's award winners. Thank you, everybody. And I will stop sharing this particular screen here.
Okay, we now move on to remarks by the chairperson. Pursuant to Executive Order number 20-69, issued by the Office of Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, and Mayor Keith A. James, Executive Order number 2020-05, issued on April 2nd, 2020, the City of West Palm Beach's boards and committees are conducting meetings through media technology and have released the requirements to have a quorum of its members physically present at City Hall. On April 14th, 2020, Mayor Keith A. James issued Executive Order number 2020-09, which specifically provides the rules of procedure for conducting city meetings, including requirements for quasi-judicial hearings. To ensure the ability for the public to continue to participate in this public hearing, it is being streamed live and available for viewing in the City Commission chambers located at City Center, 401 Clematis Street, on the condition that social distancing be practiced. Additionally, for those wishing to access the meeting remotely, they are able to do so directly through the applicable Zoom webinar link, as well as the city's usual media channels, including WPB-TV 18, the city's website, and the city's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter feeds. Anyone from the public who would like to provide comment on an agenda item is able to do so through the following. In the City Center Flagler Gallery, by dialing 561-320-3872 and leaving a voicemail not to exceed 3 minutes, sending an email or video recording to hpbpubliccomment@wpb.org, or completing the online public comment form at www.wpb.org/public comments. Those accessing the meeting directly through Zoom may also use the Q&A or raise hand features. Anyone accessing just the Zoom audio using their phone may raise their hand by pressing *9. Regardless of method, please be sure to indicate the agenda number or case number for which you are providing comment. Everyone providing testimony must have video capability and will need to be sworn in. The swearing in will occur at the start of each case on the agenda. If you are about to provide testimony and were not sworn in, please be sure to indicate such and be sworn before offering your testimony. After the applicant presents their case, staff will provide a presentation, and then the public will have an opportunity to speak or have their comments read into the record from previously received correspondence. The board will then go into executive session. Prior to rendering a decision, the board will confirm no additional public comments have been received by staff. For the members of the board, it is emphasized that Florida's sunshine laws are applicable and you may not use the chat feature or any other form of individual communication to discuss matters with other board members, the applicant, or the general public during the meeting. To lead into this, we need to let you know if you've had any conversations outside of this meeting regarding the items on tonight's agenda. So we'll go with an ex parte communication, please. Would someone like to start?
Fred Stambaugh, no ex parte communications.
Dan Pickney, I did receive an email from Ms. Mittner reminding me that the applicant for the consent item was an acquaintance of mine. So I would choose to abstain for any vote on that if Ms. Hare thinks that's sufficient.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay. Otherwise, I would be able to make my decisions based on the items, the testimony presented by both the staff and the applicant.
Nick Satley, no ex parte communication.
Kristen Kellogg, I spoke with Ms. Mittner about the cases on the agenda this evening, but can make my decision based on the evidence presented.
Gabe Charoslavsky, I spoke today with Ms. Mittner regarding both cases presented today, but I can make my own decision based on the evidence presented.
Ken
Takara-
Verslaughter, no ex parte communication.
Takara Chambers, no ex parte communication.
Amanda Skyer, I did speak with Ms. Mittner about the cases on tonight's agenda, and I did receive some emails pertaining to 3130 Washington Road, which is case number 20-37, but I can make my decision based on the evidence presented. Okay, so we will now move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. Do we have anyone that wants looking to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda?
No, Madam Chair. I believe we just have an email, but it's pertaining to the 3130 Washington Road case.
Okay. And since we will be swearing in speakers for each case, should we just defer until we're starting each case to do that, since I guess they're in the waiting room right now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, so we have two cases on tonight's agenda, and we will go with case number 18-48C to start. That has been pulled from the consent agenda, and the address for that is 134 Grayman Drive. So I see that the applicant is with us now, so can you please raise your hand to be sworn in?
Hope you're muted.
Hope you're still on mute.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm having problems with my audio. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I know typically the applicant presents first, but since it was a consent case, if you'll allow me, I'll actually go ahead and go through the presentation.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Just trying to make sure you get the whole screen instead of just the smaller version from earlier.
Just put on tech support. Disable that. I think I might do it. I might totally wrong.
Okay. So Frederique Mittner presenting the ad valorem completed work for both additions and alterations at 134 Grayman Drive. It is subject property is on the south side of the street in the Prospect Park / Southland Park Historic District. Is a contributing structure, and this is what it looked like prior to the current owner rehabilitating the structure. They did receive approval from the Historic Preservation Board for, again, a small addition, 657 square feet, window replacement, and interior rehab, as well as some site work such as a pool and landscaping. This is the completed work image. You also have additional photos that the applicant provided in your packet and online. The reason it was pulled off the consent agenda, there was a question and concern because it was approved with white framed windows. Staff did administratively approve the switch to these bronze windows because we felt it was appropriate for the mission style architecture, as well as being in compliance with your fenestration policy. So we are recommending approval of the completed work because we do believe it meets all the the Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and 10, and the Historic Preservation Ordinance compatibility criteria. This, if it receives your recommendation of approval, it'll move forward to City Commission for the ad valorem exemption portion. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Do you have any questions of staff? Okay. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Would the applicant like to say anything about the project?
Ramo, you'll need to unmute. There you go.
Better?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk. My wife and I purchased the house back in 18 and went through the approval process with historic preservation and the city of West Palm Beach, and we're quite proud of the house the way it turned out, and we're happy that we could be part of the neighborhood and the historic family. So it seems to have turned out pretty well, and we've got a lot of compliments from the neighbors, and we're very happy being in the house and being able to preserve something that I'm in the business. I'm a general contractor, so more times than not, unfortunately, we tear down a lot of things that shouldn't get torn down, and it takes away from the history of the neighborhood as well as South Florida. So we're glad we can be part of saving some of it, and we're more than happy to be involved in something that makes the whole neighborhood look better as well as the city. So hopefully you find everything in order. We tried to comply and did stay in touch with Frederique on pretty much everything. I tried to stay in touch with her through the beginning of the process too, so that we didn't waste any time submitting something that wasn't going to be accepted. So hopefully everyone thinks that the same thing.
Well, I think it turned out beautifully. It really looks wonderful, and I think the bronze frames look great.
Thank you.
And it's great to know that you went through the proper channels to get those approved. So thank you, and thank you for your investment in the community and in the city. So do we have any further questions for the applicant? Okay, do we have any members of the public that would like to comment on this case?
No, Madam Chair, we have not received any public comment.
Okay, we'll go into executive session. Any further discussion, or would someone like to make a motion?
I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 18-48C for ad valorem completed work in accordance with standards 9 and 10 as set forth in section 94-49 of the city's zoning and land development regulations. The motion is based upon the testimony presented, along with the application submitted, the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Abstention.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to case number 20-37, 3130 Washington Road and 3140 Washington Road.
Can you all unmute yourselves and raise your right hand?
Sean, do you have your video?
I have my video, but I'm having audio issues.
No. Sean Heiniger.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we have to wait until Mr. Heiniger.
There he is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go.
Do you solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So David, if you'll make your presentation, I'll go ahead after you.
Okay, sure. I guess at this point I can go ahead and I have to apologize here. I'm not the pro at this. I should be at this point, so please bear with me if I stumble a little on the technical aspects of this. So I'm going to put my screen up here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. So let me give you a little bit of background on what happened. As you're aware, this site had a prior approval on it, and this is the prior approval, where there's an existing house that a gentleman that just actually won an award, Studio SR, which they're very capable architects, presented a good solution for this site where they took the existing house, stripped off the unfortunate additions that came over time and connected it to a new house. And I worked with Sean Haniger and I looked at it after everything was done, and I think that we thought that the house that sits on that site, we thought after looking at it more carefully, should just stand on its own. And so we thought about how can we do that, and the idea came to us that we should work to create a middle site between these two parcels and let this new house be this new house, and let this nice old house that's there become back on the streetscape and stand on its own. And I think that both things would be better off for it. So we started there, and then we met with Frederique, and she had asked us to do some contextual studies of the area to see how that was going to fit in with the neighborhood, to make sure that we were doing something that would be sensitive. So, we did this figure ground study you can see here is the adjacent properties nearby. And so you can see that this is the house that we're relocating. And as we started to study this thing, it became apparent that just moving the house kind of on its own probably wasn't going to be enough to give it enough context. So what we decided to do was add a gatehouse building to this site when we broke off these sites. And by doing that, what we've done is created a pocket within the streetscape that closely resembles the streetscape, that's more closely resembles the streetscapes down there, and we think lends itself more to being harmonious with the neighborhood. So we came up with that idea, and we came back to Frederique and we showed her what we were doing, and she seemed to be more in that some of these ideas that we come up with were more in line with a good solution. So I'll take you through each one of these lots. So this is, as I said, the original presentation where we had the house connected, all right, and with the colonnade. And this is the proposed site. Now, in your package that you have right now, we've kind of corrected some of this based on what the staff report was. The staff had recommended that we have only one entrance into the property instead of two, to reduce the number of driveways on the street, which is a good idea. So what we've done is we eliminated this driveway, and but you can see now this house stands on its own, and this gatehouse offers some context along with the original building, and we think that it's a better fit for the neighborhood. So we'll show you the individual house lot. The individual house lot is 10,058 square feet. The house sits just a little bit, as you recall from the prior approval. Let me just back up here for a second. You can see that the house was about the same distance off the street in the original proposal as it is now. Actually, it's a little bit further back from the street than what was in the original proposal. So when you think about the streetscape perspective, the streetscape standpoint, there's not other than the fact that this house is presently here and not over here, it's not, the streetscape is not markedly different. So that's one thing. So as you can see, this has its own standalone lot, and we're taking off the unfortunate additions that happened over time and making it really much more of what it was. And I think a more visible component. It's a nice little building, and I think it's going to fit well in the neighborhood. Now that it's on its own. So this is the original. Just to refresh your memories a little bit, I guess maybe I should have started there. This is the original. This is the house that sits on the lake now. So you can see this area here is all the additions, and then we took that off, and we're taking this colonnade and this most unfortunate addition over here off. So you were working with the core original old building. So this is the second floor, which this second floor, aside from these large balconies, which will not exist anymore, are largely. And then this was a porch that got closed in over time, which we're going to open back up again. So to give it really truly the flavor of what it was before, which is what Studio SR was going to do when it was connected. But so this is what exists now. And then this is what we're proposing, which is basically, to put this thing back how it was. And then these are the streetscape elevations, which very closely, this elevation is very similar to what was there before. It's just, on the next lot over. But what the nice thing about this is that the back of the house will really look like it did before, which I think is a good thing. Then we have two, Studio SR did a very capable building. I want to say I take nothing away from it. It's a very nice building. They're very capable architects. And I think that the building that they created will stand better on its own. So now we'll move on to the next lot. So what we're going to start with is what we did here to create the context is we created a modest little gatehouse, which is, essentially a guest apartment with a little one-car garage. And a kitchenette, 2-story, so that the massing of this can relate to the existing building. And this is just the floor plan where you can see that this has just got simply just a little sitting room downstairs with a kitchenette. Upstairs, just a big area. And one of the staff report comments, which I agree with 100%, is that there were no windows on the north and south sides. We would mimic, I'll show you those. We would mimic these windows here on the north and south sides, and we'd have to make a slight adjustment to these closets, but not a big deal. So we agree with staff that that's a good decision. It'll make a nicer looking little building. And then so this is the so what we tried to do is, and you'll see when you look at the original design by Studio SR, we borrowed components from it so that they're sympathetic. And also, given the fact that the original house was designed to blend with the new house was designed to blend with the existing house. So the siding and some of the components are similar enough that I think that this will work together quite nicely. So this is the first floor plan, and I regret that unfortunately somehow we had modified this and it did not get in the packet properly. And one of the staff comments was that the dining room area needed to mimic the shape of this, which is part of the original building. So I just wanted you to see our elevations were correct, but somehow the wrong PDF got inserted into the set. So we fixed this already, but as you can see, what we did was we've just removed the colonnade from here. So the building it's in the same position. It hasn't moved. And now it stands alone. And I think it looks a lot better for it. So I'll show you the second floor, which is largely the same, except it just doesn't have the colonnade. And these are before and after elevations. As you can see above here, when you're looking from the north, this was the colonnade. And, the scale of this house, I think that these things are better off separate. And I think it was a novel solution, but I think that it's a better solution to let this be by itself. So here's our proposed solution, which is, as we said, this little building will add context and complement this, to, offer something on the streetscape. This is the proposed south elevation. Once again, the colonnade removed. Other than that, you can see we've done nothing to the very capable design that they created. We've left it completely alone, except where, as you'll see on the west elevation, this is where the colonnade was. We've just kind of cleaned up this end a little bit to make it look correct. Just added windows and cleaned it up. So then these are just blow up elevations. As you can see, one of the conditions approval was that this would have the shape that mimicked the old building. As you can see, the elevations were correct. It was just that one plan that was goofed a little bit. So we've taken into account one of staff's comments. Or actually, we've taken into account all staff's comments, except we didn't put the windows on the little building. And then this is the front as it stands now, which I think, as I said, it's a nice building. So we think it's even nicer by itself. So this is the streetscape here. As you can see, what we're doing here, we'll look at this little blow up here. We can see that these buildings with the siding and the proportions of the windows and everything, I think relate to each other. And the language of forms were clearly borrowed from the building that Studio SR did in the front. And so we did not correct this, but this gate will not exist. So what I would like to say is some other things that we did is that there is the record of the neighbor having some concerns. And so if I could go back to the site plan really quickly and show you some of the things that we needed to add back into the site plan to address some of those concerns, so that when we read that part of the record, I don't know how Frederic wants to handle that, but so what we did from the time that we submitted the site plan to now, let me see if I can get to that. Oh, I guess it's not on there. Well, let me say what we're going to do. I guess somehow it didn't get on there, but we're going to close off this driveway. We're going to put our generator. We're going to put a wall. Let me just get down here. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, we do have it. Okay, so what we did is we closed off this thing here. We're going to bring a wall across here that complements the gate on this side. We'll put our emergency generator here, amply screening it from the street, and also the neighbor's house is somewhere over here. So this gets it about as far away from their house as we can get it. Another one of their concerns was they wanted to know where the condenser units and things were going, and we'll probably have 3 of those here, 1 against this building and 1 over here, 3 over here, and we'll put the pool equipment on this side, so it will not be on their side. So I think that, as I said, we're just going to come back through, connect these 2 things together, and look at my notes here. I think that was it. That's my presentation. Are there any questions? Or did you want to have Frederic go first?
No, I think we can see if we have any questions for you now. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Any questions? I have some questions. The historic home, what is going to be the square footage once all of those additions are removed?
It will be, if you want, counting the FAR numbers, with the second floor porch counting at 50%, it'll be about 2,076. So we're removing 1,089 square feet off the main building, and then the addition with the colonnade connection being removed is about 1,217 square feet. So basically cutting it in half from what it was originally.
So the house itself, once it's on its own, how many square feet will it be?
We've got 2,076.
Okay.
It'd be 2,150 if you count like the porches at 100%, but because those porches are about 150 square feet, 140 square feet.
Okay. And what is the plan for this property? Is it going to be put on the market or is it going to be used for the family?
I do not know what his plans are. Sean is here. He could speak for himself on that. I don't know what he has planned to do. Initially, I think they were going to, but I'm not sure. Sean, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so right now, the intention is to take the historic home and have that for our, my parents and for our in-laws. Now, for 3130, the new construction site, it really depends on my wife. Our plan was to move into that house and live in that house. We've been quite busy, obviously, working on some family developments, and also with this whole COVID-19 crisis. So I can't tell you specifically what we're going to do with 3130 just yet.
Okay.
Our plan is to get it built. We're excited about it.
Great. Well, I think I was mostly pertaining to the historic property. If for, at some point in the future, if it does ever go on the market, is there some flexibility for a new owner to build an addition? And so that's what I was kind of getting at when you're looking at the lot size.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to address that, Sean?
Well, our intention, our intention is not to sell that house. We're very excited about it being as a standalone, but I don't know, David, I don't know what the FAR requirements or minimums are on that 10,000 square foot lot.
We've got room that if someone did want to add on to it, they could certainly.
Okay.
It has flexibility. For instance, it does not have a carport. If you wanted to put a modest little garage on it, you've got some room there. You've got a good bit of room.
Okay.
And the allowable.
Yeah, I actually have a question for historic. Is that something that would be a possibility down the road?
Ms. Mittner?
Yes, so rough numbers is that you could have about 4,000 square feet on that site total for your FAR for a 10,000 square foot lot. So almost double it, but that would require board approval. And I think they'll need to review if it meets all the other standards and compatibility criteria.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping my older children who have cars can get out of the nest and go find their own home. So right now we're not going to have a garage on it.
Well, are you aware that there are 5 conditions from staff? So I heard that you agree with most of them, but I just wanted to hear again that you agree with them.
Okay, so the only one that we would request an adjustment on is that the ad valorem. We would like to get that. I mean, it's when we say we're moving it, I mean, part and parcel, a large part of the parcel that's making up this site is really the same site. So we would request that if we could get that, we would, we'll agree to the other conditions. And as you can see, I've addressed every one of those, but that's one we would prefer. If we could get that ad valorem, we would like that very much.
And staff is amenable to that as well. It is still a rehabilitation project. If it had stood on its own, we would have supported that. So actually in my presentation, I have removed that recommendation of a condition that I do believe the ad valorem for just that portion is acceptable.
Yeah, that is what I was going also to clarify. That would be just for that portion, not for the entire project.
Right.
Well, we'd be happy to take it for the entire portion.
I'm sure that you would.
Mr. Lawrence,
just make it a clean deal that way when it's a standalone lot, right?
Mr. Lawrence, I have a quick question on the north elevation of the main house.
Sure.
I think it would be the western section. I was just curious, what's we're getting to that?
Yes, sir.
What's going on with the windows close together and the circular windows there? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was, I can go back, but I'm pretty sure that was the original design. I think those are bathrooms or that's a shower. I think that's part of the master. Let's see, yeah, that's part of a shower and a toilet. That's what those 2 little windows are.
And the larger windows so close together?
Let me just look here. These guys here,
Yeah.
bear with me, please. That's this sitting room out here.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you. We will now move on to the staff report.
Let me, I gotta, okay.
Yes, thank you. So sorry, I booted you out there, David.
That's fine. I should have done that.
Okay, Frederic Mettner presenting the new case of 20-37, which is modify the previously approved relocation of the house site and new construction of an accessory structure, which the applicant is referring to as a gatehouse for 3130 and 3140 Washington Road. Again, I do want to stress that the case number is 20-37. The previous case number was what you just saw up there of the 18-66. So just to kind of do an orientation, these lots are located in the Prospect Park / Southland Park Historic District. 3130 Washington is here. It is a contributing structure built in 1939, and we have it listed as the Anderson House. And what's exciting, and we just learned today, is Aaron's fabulous research that found this in the newspaper, that Belford Shoemate was the architect on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he found a building permit record where it is indeed E.R. Anderson contractor, build house at 3130 Washington, Belford Shoemate architect for $9,200. So that is very exciting news. That was never in the designation report or anything else. That was Aaron's detective work. So it is exciting that the primary structure is being saved, the additions removed, the colonnade and the garage, and that is very similar to what was previously approved by the Historic Preservation Board. But what the applicant wants to do now, as you've seen, is carve out a portion of the land here where our minimum zoning requirements call for a 75-foot lot width and a 10,000 square foot minimum lot size. And they do have that land since the applicant is the owner of both lots. So this is referred to as 3130 Washington. This is the applicant's current primary residential home at 3140 Washington Road. And so we don't actually know the exact address of this one, but obviously it'll be between 3130 and 3140, an even number. So I just wanted to kind of clarify the addressing there. This is the survey of the existing structures. So the 3130 and the 3140 currently, with each one has a single drive-in and then the circle contained on the lot. This is the subject property and the surrounding properties. The context, again, the property owner also, or the applicant also owns this one, currently resides there. And the previous approval on May 20th, 2019 did approve the selective demolition of the components of the existing house, the relocation of that house towards the front of the property, as you can see here, and a colonnade that would connect it to this new construction. And as the architect has already reviewed with you, they are retaining this original new construction design, but removing the colonnade. So there's still the garage, the new house, but no colonnade. And in its place over here is a proposed guest house, or again, as we're viewing it, an accessory structure. And then the relocated structure going here. There was also a lot of discussion of the orientation of the gatehouse and versus the new house. And this is where the road curves. So the feeling was that this would address the street most appropriately. So this is the proposed site plan for the modifications, and kind of a close up of the site plan of, again, the relocated house with its additions removed and those elevations restored with a single drive there. And again, the elevations as you saw. Then the 3130 lot would have these components are as you previously approved, with the new structure here and what was initially presented as 2 driveways. And then this was the gatehouse. elevations, the gatehouse floor plans, and then the primary structure, which again didn't change much except for the removal of the colonnade and therefore the addition of some windows and some minor modifications just to address the removal of that colonnade. And here's the streetscape. And this is actually one of the reasons staff felt that this was a even better solution, because it does obstruct the new construction with the relocated house and the smaller scale accessory structure in the front. And then down here is just a zoomed in view of the streetscape with the new construction that's being presented this evening and the relocated house in its new location. We reviewed the criteria for new construction and alterations, and we do believe it generally meets all of those, as well as standards 9 and 10. We have a couple conditions. Again, after further review, I've eliminated the recommendation of not doing the ad valorem, because again, this is going to be a rehabilitation of the structure, removing later additions, and with a new foundation and some of the elevation issues on this street, I think it'll actually provide for the longevity of the structure. But we are still recommending that one of the driveways for the new construction shall be eliminated, because otherwise you would have had 4 driveways here instead. And as you saw with the plans presented this evening, I hadn't seen them, that this does eliminate this driveway over here. So that would suffice. Second is that all subdivision / replat requirements shall be met and approved prior to permitting for construction and relocation. So they'll have to go through our engineering department and some other site plan work to make sure everything can accommodate this new configuration of a lot. That windows shall be added to both the north and south elevations of the accessory structure. I believe you heard the applicant say that they're amenable to that, and that both floors of the north projection shall be modified and planned in octagonal shape. And they've been amenable to that. I haven't seen it up close. I saw it on the screen tonight, so I will review it with them in greater detail at a future date if this is approved. But these are staff's recommendations. Otherwise, we are recommending approval. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Any questions, or should we go to public comment? Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this case?
Madam Chair, I'm not sure if anyone has written in additionally, but I do want to put in the record that staff has received 2 emails in favor of the project, one from Hillary Musser and one from Kelly and J. Holmes. They are property owners, adjacent property owners. We did receive one email from Owen Mark Sanderson, owner of 3180 Washington Road, and it was really more a question about a deed restriction and not building east of the existing building on 3140 Washington Road. And by what is being presented this evening, there is no building on the lot of 3140 Washington Road east of the existing structure. The relocated structure is being placed to the west side, and the other new construction that was previously approved has not shifted its location in any way. And then additionally, as was referenced by the applicant's architect, that there have been email exchanges between the property owner to the north at 3120 Washington Road, Jim and Lila Young, and the applicant and the architect, and I've been copied on those, and there has been correspondence, but I know they didn't necessarily want to participate this evening. Perhaps they've changed their mind, but it was inquiries into what is this new plan and exactly how does it impact their property.
Okay. Okay, we will now enter into executive session. I agree that I think this is a better solution than what was previously approved, and I'm very happy to see the colonnade is no longer part of the design. That was one of the things that I had some issues with, so I'm happy to see that that's no longer there. And I'm delighted to hear that this is by Belford Shoemate, The other hat that I wear is Executive Director of the Preservation Foundation of Palm Beach, and that is one of our architectural collections. And he is one of the architects that is not always given his due. And I'm really excited to see that this will be placed in a prominent location and sensitively restored. And I've already made a note to check with our archivist to see if we have any original plans or historic photographs that we would be happy to gift to you.
That would be great. We'd love to have them.
Great.
Thank you. That's amazing. Sorry, yes, that was late breaking news. So sorry we didn't give you a heads up on that.
That's wonderful news, actually.
So any further discussion, or would someone like to make a motion? Which is this still two motions? Do you have to have one for demolition, or?
Well, there's no demolition involved. It's really modifying the relocated site and approval for new accessory structure. But if it's in two motions, that would be much cleaner. I believe you're right. Thank you.
Okay, just because I know there's some parts that are being demolished, and I think the first time around we might have had two motions. I'm not sure though.
I think it might be clearer as well.
Would someone like to take a stab at it? Anyone? This is one of the challenges. We don't have the packets that we normally have with all of the appropriate verbiage for the motions. So it takes a little bit longer to put it all together. So hopefully that's what someone's working on.
So what both motions would be? One, the first one for the alterations for the existing historic property.
Yes, removal of additions and relocation to the proposed site. I think that could be as one, perhaps, unless the chair or Denise were thinking those would be two as well. And then the new construction.
I'm fine with it that way. Denise, do you have any preference?
Yeah. I think that's fine as well.
So I'll give it a try. So I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 20-37. Can we call it part 1 maybe? For alterations ad valorem tax exception in accordance with standards 9 and 10, I believe, yep. As set forth in section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations, the motion is based on the testimony presented along with applications submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. So I guess that this motion doesn't include the conditions that will go in the next motion.
Perhaps condition 2, all subdivision replat requirements. That one could be in both, that condition. shall be met and approved prior to permitting for construction and relocation.
Okay, so in addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance, the historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, the additional compatibility criteria set forth in Section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The condition include the following: all subdivision replat requirements shall be met and approved prior to permitting for construction and relocation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, I move that the Historic Preservation Board approve application number 20-37, Part 2, for new construction in accordance with the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, specifically standards 9 and 10, as well as the additional compatibility criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The motion is based on the testimony presented along with the application submitted and the staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. In addition, the approval of this request is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the Historic Preservation Ordinance and the historic preservation element of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, the additional compatibility criteria set forth in the Historic Preservation Ordinance, Section 94-49 of the City Zoning and Land Development Regulations. The conditions include the following. First, since, one of the driveways for the new construction at 3130 Washington Road shall be eliminated. Second, all subdivision replat requirements shall be met and approved prior to permitting for construction and relocation. Third, windows shall be added to both the north and south elevations of the accessory structure. Fourth, both floors of the north projection, dining first floor, bathroom second floor, shall be modified in plan into an octagonal shape to pay homage to the original breakfast nook in this location.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And just a point of clarification, Ms. Mittner, that last condition was for the new construction or the historic building?
It was for the new construction, the
Okay.
new primaries, yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So with that, I believe we can take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
All right, thank
Bye.
you all.
See you all next week.
Aye.